Good evening, Raghavan.
Good evening, sir. How are you? Hope all safe.
Good. We are safe. We're all at home. So thanks for coming online to talk to us. Just to give you a background, we are relaunching our YouTube channel, and then I'm trying to make this as a go-to place for discussions on manufacturing related topics and to listen. I mean, people can come there to listen to leaders like you. So that's the reason I have requested for this short interview. So
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Yeah. Good. So Raghavan, I know that you have taken over as a business head in 2018, December 2018, if I remember right. So what's the agenda that you would have worked out for the organization and for yourself, Raghavan? Can you take us through?
Sure, sir. When I took over, the market was not in great shape. Actually, the demand had started dropping from November of 2018, and every succeeding month was worse than the previous month. So that was the situation in which I had taken over the leadership of this business. And as you know, as in the case of multi-business environment, you have to compete for capital, you have to compete for resources even within the company. So the agenda was very clear, needed to establish this business as a viable, long-term, investment-worthy business. So that means I had to kind of improve both the profit and the profitability of that business at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
So the business agenda was very clear. It was a very clear one-line agenda. If possible, make the profit as high as possible and profitability as high as possible.
Okay.
And the personal agenda was a little bit of a tricky one because I was moving from a functional leadership role into a general management role, and that too in a tough situation. So the initial approach was, okay, I know something about sales and marketing, including exports. So let me go and understand manufacturing. So getting into that in about a week's time, I realized two things. One is most of the plant managers were stalwarts and they knew what they were doing. And for me to go and learn and match their level of skill was not going to be an effective way forward. Because probably I would have spent another 30 years learning and still I wouldn't have matched with their skills. Okay, so that was ruled out. And apart from manufacturing, there was sourcing and there were every other function. So it was impossible for me to go and learn everything and then start managing the team.
Okay.
So quickly I realized that I had to prioritize learning which levers to press that will get me the results in a sustainable manner. It is not getting something done for the month and then not able to do that again in the next month. So how do we do that? And while doing that, how do we really focus on the most important thing, that is the customer and the profitability.
Okay.
So we had a B2B side of the business and the B2C side of the business. And as you know very well, the B2B side of the business, even if you want to alter your portfolio and reduce the size of the portfolio, 100% is not in your hand.
Okay.
Because the exit clause that the customer puts on you is quite difficult, and sometimes it could be financially unviable also.
Okay.
So therefore, we had to kind of balance this. So this was the agenda. So this is the balancing act I had to do both at the business side and the personal side.
Great. So I think that was a sort of an exciting agenda. I think right from the word go, because improving the profitability of the company, I think it involves just about everything in the company. So I'm sure
that's right.
Yeah, that would have been exciting at that time. So probably it would have been exciting for your boss and maybe for yourself. So how did you build an urgency around this with your team?
So the team was a committed team. So that was the first and foremost ingredient. and it was a diverse and a diversified team. People with a lot of experience and people with little experience, both were holding the roles of functional heads. So that gave me the confidence, basically, because we were all going to learn together and find solutions together. So from that set the agenda very clearly for the team, saying that this is not a boss subordinates kind of a relationship. This is a collaborative teamwork. So whatever we are going to do, we are going to do together. So whether it is success or otherwise, it is going to be shared together. So ideas started flowing freely, and we did not shoot any idea down. But the clear priorities and the boundaries were set that this is the goal we want to move. So to begin with, what I did was I set the goal saying that we would double the profit. The previous financial year's profit, in terms of numerical number, we would double it. If it was X the previous year, it has to be 2X this year. In order to achieve that, what all can we do? So that was the agenda set, the broader agenda set. Then ideas started flowing in, and we prioritized, and we arrived at least 2 or 3 or 4 different way forward. All could be worked together. It is not either or, not mutually exclusive, either or. And that gave the option to allow each of those leaders to work on their own on those initiatives as projects with a very clear project deliverables. And then we structured all the reviews around the TQM model. That is, you have a set standard and you measure the result as often it is required. Some initiatives required almost a daily review, and some issues required probably a weekly or 2 weeks once, a fortnightly, a monthly or quarterly review. So that kind of an agenda informally set. And then each review was used as an opportunity for all of us to learn. So even though it is a project run by one leader, all the functional heads along with myself, we used to sit together and then discuss that, so that any new idea can also be useful in that particular initiative. And that was true of all initiatives that we had taken.
Okay.
So one of the key initiatives was to move aggressively into the B2C market. And another key initiative was supporting that B2C initiative in the most cost-effective way in the back end.
Okay.
So these kind of helped us to come together as a team.
Okay. And I understand that the change that you are trying to drive in the company in terms of the result is to double the profitability, but I'm sure there would have been a lot of change that you are driving within the company. So the communication perhaps would have been one of the very important ones from you as a leader. So is there anything that specifically any specific practices that you adapted, Raghavan, for improving the communication within the company?
Sure. In fact, the 2 rules that I set for myself was, one is I would be brutally honest, to the point that the other person might not like it initially. But at the same time, at the end of the conversation, the person should go away with the hope, not with despair. So that was the rule that was set. So everything was told very openly, saying that this is the current situation and this is the profit that we are earning, this is the cash flows that we are having. And if we continue at this rate, and we are nowhere in the picture of becoming the most preferred business of the stakeholders, and therefore we need to do something differently. And even when we were working on the initiatives that were gaining momentum, there were different types of people or different types of behavior to the problem. I wouldn't put people under different types. I would probably put their behavior under different types. There were some people who took it as a challenge, and they said that, okay, dekha jayega, we will see what can be done. And there were some people who were completely switched off, and they said that we have seen many such things happening in the system for the last 20 years or 30 years, and many people have talked like you, and then things go back to normal once we start doing something better than what it is today. market will improve, and why to waste my time and your time until the market improves. So let me do whatever I can do. So the communication to those people was calling them aside and talk to them individually rather than communicating to them in public, and making it very clear that behavior is not going to work, and that is only going to be detrimental to the business as well as to the company. So probably that person would have a couple of more opportunities to demonstrate change behavior. Otherwise, if there is any other opportunity coming up within the company, and they would be released to that opportunity, and if it is not available, then it is their bad luck.
Okay. Fine. So I think that would have sort of made it very clear to the people, saying that, okay, what is that you are expecting? And then it would have also sort of given the message saying that, okay, if what is expected is not happening, then probably I think the next stage will have to be considered. So I think your communication, as it sounds, I think it was quite clear. And but I'm sure, I think in every change situation, Raghavan, there would be some places where the situation would have been tough, and were there situations like that where you felt it was quite tough, and then how to go forward? Did you have any doubts about yourself?
Sure. I mean, there were many such situations, and I would say probably every day 1 or 2 situations would come that way. Especially B2B business, when you are trying to reduce the size of the portfolio,
right.
Some customers don't simply allow you to do that. Okay, so at that point in time, it looks like you are banging your head against a big wall. But then there was no other option, so the only way was to persevere and then communicate until the other party is convinced, because there was no other option. And similarly, areas where you had an opportunity where the reaction time was longer than what I would have liked, because the person running that program was not able to see the urgency of that. So the impulse was to jump in and then go do it myself. But then realizing that there are 30 such situations existing in 30 different parts of the country, and I can't do it everywhere. So therefore, persevering with that person as well, but this time finding a plan B. Say, for example, one of his deputies kind of reassigned to a part of that job, and then that person supported really very well, and then make him succeed, and then show to this person saying that, boss, if he can do that, you can do it. And the subtle message that went was, if he can do and you can't do, and he is going to take your job. So those kind. And also in terms of how much ever experience you gain from this, there are certain fundamentals that you need to understand. So you need to go back to the drawing board and then sit with the experts and then learn and then understand and make decisions as well. So these are some of the specific manufacturing related issues. There are specific design and engineering related issues. So you need to go back and then be humble, because you don't know and the other person knows more than whatever you know. So learn and then understand the problem and then manage the show. So there is a bit of all these things have to be done on a fast forward kind of most of these had to be done day before yesterday.
Okay.
And we were already in the day after tomorrow, so we had to do it fast.
Right. I can understand the urgency that was there in the business situation from what you are saying. Now, I think one thing that happens, Raghavan, over years, I think in any organization, the change programs come, and then every organization has at least 2 problems with that. One is while the change is happening, how do we drive the change? You explained in detail as to how you have been doing that. But the other problem is once the change has sort of taken root, now the next challenge is how do we make sure saying that it doesn't slide back? So what were your experiences in that? Okay, how were you making sure that this change lasts longer?
Here again, I didn't have any other better reference than TQM. So the documentation was the key. Because whatever we did, and the reviews were against the standard, and then we were looking at what went right or wrong, and then how it was done. And then we were rotating PDCA at every step. So each opportunity allowed us to document it. Document it in a manner that a document left to a person coming into the business new will teach him or her at least 50 to 60% of what needs to be done. So that the changed behavior in practice had been documented, be it let's say first off inspection in a press, or in a business process like in a sales process, or in a sourcing related process. So how do you really evaluate a vendor for a given line item? Or even in the engineering process, do you have to reinvent the wheel every time, or would you create a library and then what you would use from the library and what you would do as part of the new innovation? So everything standardization, and then continue to improve that, rather than doing jugaad every day and not documenting it and not knowing what did we do yesterday, and therefore not knowing what we are going to do tomorrow. So this, to a very large extent, I would say, has given a foundation for sustaining the change, and also a very rich training material for people who would continue to run this business better.
Okay, so I mean, I can see that. Okay, you've been going through a very strong change program, and as a leader, I can feel saying that okay, you've been evolving. So, what was your personal learning journey through all this, Raghavan? Okay, what are the learnings so far?
The learning so far is very simple. People have a lot of knowledge around you, and it is up to you to tap into it and then get the benefit of it. As a leader, you would never ever learn everything and become an expert of everything, and you would only know how to manage people with expertise. So that is one important learning. But there is something that as a leader one has to do, that the leader also has a daily work. And that daily work management is extremely important for the leader. And that daily work is ensuring that the critical projects which are leading to the final goal are first of all aligned up to the front line, and also looking for opportunity for continuous improvement starting from self. So it is about a reflection as to what can I do differently today without compromising on what has been done so far. So it is a reflection of what I do not know today, and then doing what can be done better. So this is one step before Kaizen. So knowing what I don't know, and then getting into the Gemba, and then understanding what can be done better.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think I can see that whatever the leadership model that you adapted, Raghavan, I think sounds to me like it was a scalable model, because I think leaders who attempt to try to get it done somehow, I think those changes have seen that they are not sustainable, and the leadership model itself is not scalable, because you can't carry on for a longer time like that. But I think the model that you adapted, that is letting people do what they are good at, and then you trying to play sort of a coordinator role and then make them do that work, working as an enabler, I think is definitely a scalable model. And I think I'm sure whatever you have started, I think it is still a young initiative, I would say, because it's just about 1.5 years, I think. I'm sure, I think you will take it to a much higher level as we go forward. So, thank you for talking to us today, Raghavan.
Thank you very much. Yes, I hope so, because last April was a challenge with respect to the market going down.
Okay.
And this April, it is a kind of a deja vu sense, because it is COVID again. But I am very confident that we have done it before, and then we have that energy within the system that we will do it again, but this time it will be we would have done a better PDCA and we would do it much better.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think nothing better than that for a leader to keep reflecting and keep learning from the experiences and then apply the learning into the next experience. So thanks a lot, Raghavan, for talking to us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me in your show. Thank you.